Doctor Who Story by Story. The Five Doctors Review. Just the Facts. The Five Doctors is the name of a feature-length special episode of Doctor Who, broadcast as an addendum to the show's 20th season to celebrate its 20th anniversary in the United Kingdom on November 25, 1983. It starred Peter Davison in his second season as the Fifth Doctor, accompanied by his companions Tegan and Turlough, played by Janet Fielding and Mark Strickson. The special was written by stalwart Who writer and former script editor Terrance Dicks, and script edited and produced by current incumbents Eric Saward and John Nathan Turner. The serial was directed by regular director Peter Moffat, with incidental music by Peter Howell, who had contributed many incidental scores to the series and was responsible for the iconic theme arrangement that ran from season 18 up to and including season 22. Plot. A mysterious figure begins scooping the Doctor's earlier incarnations out of their time streams, weakening his current self. The Time Lords are experiencing a crisis of their own and, finding the Doctor also under attack, take desperate measures by employing the services of another renegade to help them, the Master. Guest cast. There are some big-name guest stars in the special. First and foremost, of course, are Patrick Troughton and Jon Pertwee, who both return to their iconic roles as the second and third Doctor like they've never been away. However, the first and fourth Doctors' casting proved rather more problematic. Tom Baker declined to return, having left the series less than 2 years earlier after a record-breaking 7-year stint following clashes with the current production team. Producer John Nathan Turner elected to have the fourth Doctor represented by then unbroadcast footage of him from the season 17 story Shada, which had been left uncompleted because of BBC strikes. The first Doctor was even more problematic, given that the man who played him, William Hartnell, had died back in 1975. Nathan Turner ultimately made the controversial decision to recast, with the first Doctor, aside from an opening scene featuring Hartnell being lifted from the Dalek invasion of Earth, being played by Richard Herndell, a veteran British actor with many credits to his name including roles in other iconic TV series such as The Avengers, Blake's 7 and Callan. Many companion actors also reprised their roles in the special. Nicholas Courtney, Carol Ann Ford and Elizabeth Sladen were the most prominent returning companions, given large roles in proceedings as the Brigadier, the Doctor's granddaughter Susan, and Sarah Jane Smith, but there were many other smaller cameos from Fraser Hines, Wendy Padbury, Caroline John, Richard Franklin and John Leeson as Jamie and Zoe, Liz Shaw, Captain Mike Yates and K9. Other guest stars included Anthony Ainley as the Master, Paul Jericho as the Castellan, reprising his role from earlier in season 20 in the story Arc of Infinity, Philip Latham as the new incarnation of Borusa, David Banks as the Cyber Leader, and Dinah Sheridan as Chancellor Flavia, an actress whose career spanned 70 years and included the likes of films such as Genevieve and the Railway Children and TV comedy series Don't Wait Up. Trivia. Robert Holmes was initially contracted to write the special, originally titled The Six Doctors in reference to the Herndell first Doctor being revealed as a fake. However, Holmes found the massive task unworkable, and ultimately left the project. Tom Baker initially agreed in principle with the idea of returning to the series, and Terrance Dicks' initial script featured a full role for the fourth Doctor. However, Baker ultimately found the prospect of returning unpalatable and declined to return, a decision he later regretted. Uniquely, The Five Doctors was actually shown in the United States before the UK, being broadcast on the actual day of the anniversary, the 23rd of November, where in the UK it was held back to the 25th so it could form part of that year's annual Children in Need event. The special was novelized by original writer Terrance Dicks in 1983. In fact, in some areas of the UK the book was actually on sale before the story had been broadcast on television. The story was released on video in 1985, and re-released in 1990. It was released on Laserdisc in 1994, with a special edition version then released on video in 1995. This version of the story was also the first DVD of a Doctor Who story ever released in 1999. In 2008 a Super Special Edition DVD was released featuring both the Special Edition and, for the first time on DVD, the original broadcast version. In 2005 the story achieved another first, becoming the first Who story to be made available as a digital download. The special was also released as part of the DVD Files magazine series collection. The story was also one of the first to feature an extensive use of matte paintings. A new console room for the TARDIS was introduced to the series with this story. Reaction: The Five Doctors is one of the most popular and iconic Doctor Who stories of all time. The story received 7.7 million viewers on its first transmission in the UK, and while some fans have criticised the very basic plot, the recasting of the first Doctor and the absence of Tom Baker, it is still generally held in very high regard by the majority of the show's fandom. What I think. I watched The Five Doctors again in late September. I have always loved the story, but I hadn't seen it for a very long time, at least 7 years, and I have a feeling it may even be longer than that, but for some reason I was just feeling in the mood and threw it on one Sunday night. Loved it all over again. A glorious celebration of classic Who with enough nostalgia and warmth to cheer anyone up. Troughton and Pertwee slip back in like they've never been away, and Hurndall makes a way better for first Doctor than a certain someone else ever did. Lovely. I really don't know how anyone who calls themselves a Who fan, and certainly a classic Who fan, cannot feel the same. I give The Five Doctors a full-on A+.